Welcome back to DGC Live. Today, well, not today, now we are talking about kind of the opportunities in games development and games publishing within the MENA region. And I've got some fantastic guests on the panel. First of all is Mo Fadl, I think that's correct, the CEO of Sandsoft Games, Mohammad Arkobi, who's a games developer based in Saudi Arabia. We have Jason Dellarocca, who's a game industry entrepreneur, funding advisor, clustering expert, and a lot more things according to his LinkedIn page. And we have Layla Albabtain, who's on voice, not on video, who's a game developer and lecturer at Alyamah University, again in Saudi Arabia. How are you all, everyone?
Awesome.
Great, thank you.
Doing well. Thomas, let's congratulate Mo on the launch of Sandsoft Studios, who is going to be the largest publishing games company in the whole region. And we're happy to have him as well here as part of this Endless Potential NEOM session. So specifically, we are looking to discuss today the MENA region ecosystem and what is required to move from a great opportunity to an existing reality. Because, you know, we always talk about the MENA region as the next potential emerging market, everything happening. Why aren't we listening to did we reach a certain level of success, or are we yet not there? Let's discuss it with our panelists.
Absolutely. I guess kind of the first question is kind of what opportunities are there for the games industry in the MENA region? Is there anyone who wants this question, or should I just call on someone?
Well, I'll go. I think if we go with Mo, because you know Mo has worked for in many of these AAA companies, and recently he's been working with Riot, and now he's just back in the region. So he should be able to tell us more about what are the opportunities in our region for the game industry.
Okay, Mo, you're in the hot seat.
Thank you. First of all, thanks for having me. It's really a pleasure and honor. It's a very good question. This is the reason why myself and some other colleagues from industry decided MENA. I'm half Arab, so that makes my life easier. But from the gaming perspective wise, I'm working now since 16 years in industry with Blizzard, Wargaming, Nsoft, as well Amazon Game Studios, and now as well Riot the last 3 years. All companies have always one thing in common, that they're global companies. Everyone looked at MENA as an emerging market. But when you look at the actual player base and the behaviors and the market growth, in the last years, MENA is the strongest growing market worldwide in gaming. And it's the one which is like becoming dominant, not only of player base, as well as skill base from the players. They're getting so competitive, so engaged. They digest the most content regarding of YouTube and streaming as well. So the region is a monster. It's such a strong beast, but it was neglected by the industry. So naturally, when you look at it now from the industry perspective, as a AAA publisher and developer, was for me when I looked at it as well and said, hey, yes, it's my blood, my father's side. This is my people, my community. But then you look at it as a game developer and publisher and said, wow, look at those players, those passion, those drive, this growth. The community and the region is changing so much and so fast, faster than anything we've ever seen before. There's such a massive opportunity arising at the same time for the whole game industry to say, hey, okay, let's stop acting it's an emerging market. Let's take it what it is. It's already a market which is far beyond this emerging point. We just have to adapt from our side, to adapt to the market, sit down and give the attention and focus to actually help build the new, I don't want to say something wrong, but the new leader, I really mean it in regards of opportunities and market and talent and player base, will be one of the top 2 in the world, will be the MENA region. This is something I'm super excited about. What can I say?
We are also super excited about having more publishing companies in the region, and that are bringing also, like you said, you know, during the DGC Live this year, we are actually having sessions about profiles that are similar to you, Mo, where they are originally from the Arab world. They made it into the bigger studios, and giving back to the community here and coming back as well. So we have Fawzi Mismar, we have Ram Ismail that you know, of course, Jason. Mohammad, I would also like to hear from you as a developer today. How do you perceive these opportunities in the gaming industry as a young developer? And we were discussing earlier with Jason as well, how do we go about when we are a young developer here in the region? How do we perceive ourselves? How do we actually become an entrepreneur and not only a game developer or a game artist and take it to the next level? So how do you see that opportunity in games, in the games industry from your own perspective?
Well, first of all, good morning and evening to Jason, I guess. It's a great pleasure to be here. In terms of opportunities, unfortunately, to be honest, we are not seeing opportunities, enough opportunities at least as a developers. However, we're definitely noticing a difference with companies such as Sandsoft launching now, and more initiatives and more workshops and all of that types of interest in games and e-games as well. So that's something we are noticing these days, or at least recently. In terms of how does someone get into it? Well, the great thing about this is developing a game doesn't really have to cost millions of dollars. So if someone has the passion and the time, they can acquire the skill afterwards, and there's limitless sources, free, different languages, everything is available with the internet now. So almost everyone can become an entrepreneur, but how successful he becomes, that's it's a couple of things: luck and extra hard work, and a lot of the variables of the equation has to meet just so you can have a success entrepreneurship experience. However, seeing that the cost of creating and developing games these days don't have to be very large, that means you can get a really big number of people to actually participate and create the market. It's just maybe we're lacking a clear vision of like the opportunities and where they are and something like that. So we can actually all try and involve ourselves in, learning how to develop a game and actually try and pursue and find these opportunities ourselves. But I think that's it.
So, Jason, just because kind of you've kind of invested in these sort of things before, I guess, do you agree that there's less opportunity here? And is there anything that developers can be doing to, I guess, make the most of the opportunities they are given?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question, and part of it is that the game industry is sort of a multi-layered, multifaceted, sort of set of ecologies. And I think what a lot of people talk about is the consumer market, right? So this is a bit Mo's comments about seeing the hunger for games and players and the rise of esports and all of this kind of a consumer level or consumption level opportunity that's growing, that exists. I think that will continue to grow, and there is an opportunity there. It's already at several billion, and I think that'll continue to grow. The less obvious one, this is maybe more the perspective of Mohammad, is as a creator, as an entrepreneur, how does an entrepreneur from the MENA region become the next Riot, the next Wargaming, the next Supercell? And I think in that regard, the MENA region is a little more behind the rest of the world, and the opportunities aren't as plentiful or readily available. And these are some of the things we need to talk about in terms of fleshing out the ecosystem. What's the talent pipeline? What's the access to funding? What kind of programs for mentorship are in place to support local developers to go global? And for me, in the kind of work that I've done, that's really where the wealth creation comes from. That's really where the value and the economic impact, and also the ability to have a voice on a global scale, right? If you are a developer, an entrepreneur from the MENA region, and you create the next Fortnite or Angry Birds or Clash of Clans, that becomes something that's created from this community that then is consumed and played and loved by tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of players all over the world. And that is transformative level stuff. So MENA region is just starting to kind of embark on that journey. We're starting to see some positive steps in that direction, but it's still a long journey there in building all the pieces of that ecosystem up.
So how do you basically make an ecosystem ready for this?
You're asking me. It's like, how do we solve this massive?
I'm asking you, I'm asking Mo, I'm asking Layla, who will also join us. But give us your answer also, Jason, to start with. How do you make an ecosystem ready to tap into the $140 billion industry instead of just the few $1 billion that are just here in our region?
Yeah. I mean, you need both, right? You need the international companies coming in. You need the local entrepreneurs going out. Like you need all these inflows and outflows. Generally, the core of an ecosystem, you really want to see three primary stakeholders. You want to see the creators, the entrepreneurs, the designers, artists, and so on. So call it the industry. You want to see the academic world. So the universities teaching the up and coming developers and designers and programmers. And you want to see the government or governmental agencies that are able to provide not just funding, but other support mechanisms to accelerate the process of achieving success. And so you want to see kind of a strong communication, a strong flow back and forth between those three primary stakeholders at the highest level. Once you start implementing that kind of dynamism, there's a lot more pieces to dig in from there. But at the fundamental level, those are the three stakeholders you want to see active in a region making a difference.
I was going to say, so Mo, you must kind of think that we're on the right path then, considering your company.
Yeah, to reflect on what Mohammad and Jason said, yes, especially Mohammad when he mentioned, for entrepreneurs like let's say the creators, the developers, indie developers as well, who's starting now, it's a very hard environment. This is true. But reflecting on what Jason said, we all have to interact on many layers. And this is something which I see as well. Be very transparent. It's like a chain reaction in the end. We're having this momentum, and this is something where the industry in MENA has to change their own perception, and the global industry has to change their perception in regards how they see and perceive MENA. Not only the players, as well the talent and the studios. And this is something I can tell you since we announced, and I said, hey, I come down, come down on the ground, feet down, let's start over, wrap up the arm, get dirty to build something in MENA from my side, at least in the team side. Then a lot of people reach out to me over LinkedIn as well and say, hey, Mo, great to see that finally MENA gets the attention and drive. And I said, hey, this is as well not correct. There's a lot of things since years happening in MENA from amazing companies doing. Just now is a momentum where you can see a big change happening. This is the chain reaction I meant, that it flips up the top leadership, the government relations with a vision. Then I saw as well something like NEOM coming up with a complete different approach, how they can even see, in specific Saudi Arabia, how they see how we want to do business, how we want to bring entrepreneurs, how we want to elevate the region. So I see several reactions starting to happen. That okay, then this is now the time where I said, okay, guys, old industry folks who trust me, this is now the time. Let's give some attention. And said, right now what I do as well is just a little bit of light. I described it to a colleague of mine, and the owner of another company just a few days ago said, in the end, with Sandsoft Games and the announcement now, it's just a bit of light. It's like a torch in a cave. And ideally, we use this torch to show around as much as we can for a short moment that the cave is full of beautiful crystals, full of beautiful material, like in Minecraft. Use them. Now is opportunity. And ideally, it sparks another torch and another torch and another torch. And this is the reaction which suddenly the whole cave starts to shine. And this is, I believe, what Jason's one mentioned when we said, okay, there's these different layers and they have to interact. And this is something I believe will now only get faster and faster to reach this point with all players coming together on all levels. Next 3 years will be the biggest differences we ever seen in MENA in regards of gaming, from entrepreneurs to AAA companies coming. I think this will be a very big game changer within the next 3 years, 100%.
I do agree with you, Mo. Jason attended our first DGC back in maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And at the time when we used to talk about the gaming industry, people would, not understand what we're saying. And we've seen also the evolution in the past 5 years of the interest in our region towards the gaming industry, not only from the international publisher, but mostly from local and regional initiatives as well. And we are seeing a great difference, of course, and also seeing more developers and more institutions getting involved. Layla, Jason mentioned something about education, and you are today in Saudi Arabia giving this education to your students. How do you see them as being part of the gaming industry, like really something that they are looking forward to?
Okay, in terms of education, before I start talking about what I'm currently doing, I would like to talk that universities in Saudi Arabia are changing. They're moving toward introducing academic programs that will enhance game industry. They have 3D modeling, they have scenario writing, they have they're introducing music, they're introducing production and direction of animation and movies. Currently, I'm teaching students on how the basics of game design and development in Alyamah University. And to be honest, I've seen enthusiasm. I've seen lots of them interested in game development, to the point that I showed them the ropes. I showed them the way, and I noticed that they are way ahead of me in many aspects. I've been sharing some of their work, and some of them, they're putting a lot of effort. However, even what I noticed is these students' main goal is not game development. They want game development to be a side thing because they don't see a place to work or a job opportunity here in Saudi Arabia. But they wanted it as a side thing. They can publish their games, they can get revenues, they can work on projects together. However, it's not, they don't see it as a main thing. I remember one of my best students said, who has been working in both Unity and Blender, he said that he would like to focus on web development because there are more job opportunities than game development, and games will be as a side thing.
So I guess the question, is that because they don't see a big career path, but it's a bit of a chicken and egg, right? Because you need the talent and you need the studios and the developers before people can see a career path. So I guess the question is, what do you think needs to change for people to start seeing game development and games publishing as a proper career?
We need a success story. I think this is what we need most. If we get a very successful story, and I'm trying to achieve that in both helping other developers, providing workshops, interacting with students, answering their questions. The whole point is I'm trying to help build a success story, whether it's mine or anyone else. If we get the success story and people see the potential game industry has, they will start taking it seriously and think of it as a career or as a business. Okay.
Today, Mo, I'm sure Sandsoft is also looking today to find these talents in the region, right? And we you were previously working for Riot as well, and they opened their office here in Dubai, and I was there when they first came and started to visit, and they spent around a year or 2 years just looking for talents to be able to be part of the adventure. So, Mo, today, do you think that we have all the talents that we need in the different departments that are ready to go and take your company to the next level? And you also, with your experience, will take them to the next level as well.
I want to be very frank. I wish I could say yes, but to be honest, it's not the case yet. We had in the last few weeks hundreds, I literally mean hundreds of interviews on many, many layers and many levels, from publishing, marketing, UA, over development, concept art. And actually 95% is from talent from the region. And through this filtering out, it became very, very clear that there is such a potential in talent, but their standards, I'll be very transparent, the standards, how the talent currently, what they are exposed to, what they can do, is on a very different scale when you look at someone like the Riot, the Blizzard, the Activision, any big player, any global one who had like 20 plus years, or let's say 40 years of building this infrastructure, this ecosystem around talent, to foster this talent around gaming, what is needed, all these pieces. Then we're sitting down with talent, and the talent as well, their own perception, naturally they say, hey, I can do everything, I'm here. And then you're sitting down with them through processes and interviews, over interviews, and with the same candidates, example-wise, and then in the end realizing, hey, sorry, what you describe is here, yes, but the standards we need to push the region to be on equal on the global scale is 3 levels higher. But the potential is there. So this is where it's very important. What we create for us, we bring global senior talent who would have never touched Mena as there is right now because of the perception, that we bring them through relationships and trust to the region to sit down and say, here, look, there's a blue ocean of amazing talent. There are diamonds. You see, there are so many diamonds, unicorns. You don't see in the industry on a global scale because they're truly diamonds. You just have to shape. You just have to help to form that they become tomorrow, as Layla said, the ones which have the success story, who suddenly becomes like the Fauzi. Like not one Fauzi, we want to have like 10,000 Fauzis. You know, these are the moments which is happening right now. But for this, we have to be very transparent. We need to bring global and senior talent who has a meaning and a vision to merge it with local talent to tomorrow breed a new level of gaming developers and publishers from the MENA region.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Yeah, I mean, really interesting, and it's wonderful to hear from Layla and what she's experiencing on the ground and at schools. And the reality is, the region will not reach its potential if all the talent is sitting on the sidelines, waiting and watching. Even if, as Mo says, the talent is there, and you just have to polish those diamonds. And in many ways, the role of government, the role of the different agencies, is to step in to shake things up and accelerate that process. And it really, it's the only reason the government should be stepping in. It should be that, everyone's hesitant, there's risks, people, they have to pay for their food and so on. And so the kind of the connections of the ecosystem are not connecting because everybody's sort of waiting, sitting, hoping, observing. And this is where a governmental agency comes in and says, okay, we get it, there's a misconnection. So we're going to come in and we're going to close that gap. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean more intense education? Does that mean incentivizing 10 more Sandsofts to come to the region? Is it setting up a seed fund? It could mean many different solutions. But those are the kinds of things that the government has to do to catalyze that kind of change. And further, what I would say is the most potent thing is to generate success in the region. not only does that mean that, as Layla pointed out very clearly, it inspires other talent to pursue those opportunities, but it also inspires international companies and investors to come to the region and say, my goodness, what is happening in the MENA region? Where's all this success coming from? We never knew this talent even existed, and look at what these studios are doing on a global scale. Then the big companies come, and then that sort of further escalates. I think the challenge is, if we all sit around and we wait for, I don't know, Blizzard or whoever to come to town to hire everyone, Blizzard is never going to come, because a bit what Mo says, the talent's not at the, they want to, they're looking, but it's hard to justify. So there's definitely an investment in schools, an investment in teachers, an investment in like all kinds of investments to really catalyze and spark that change. But that's a 5-year, 10-year type of plan. That's not, hey, this fall we're going to throw some money around and have a workshop and then our job is done. This is a long-term strategy that needs to be put into place.
I have something to say. Yes, I do agree. It's having workshops here and there is not enough, and it will take time to produce talent. So what I'm currently doing is I'm helping my students to see the opportunities and to give them exposure as much as possible. Game development course last semester, me and my students have a huge plan. We're planning to work on the game during the summer vacation, and we're planning to showcase the game in many game development conferences and events. Our main target is Tokyo Game Show. Hopefully we can make it there. We're trying, but hopefully. If we get something decent, you'll see us there.
I promised you, Layla, because they are our partners, that we will facilitate that for you.
So I had to there's a few kind of things I'm getting from this conversation. One is that, Mo, you've been playing Minecraft because you've talked about diamonds, gems, and caves. Mohammad, do you believe that you're in the cave and can see the gems and the diamonds, and you do believe that there's currently an opportunity to grow that into something bigger?
Well, the past, 3 to 4 years, I've been very heavily involved in different communities, not just here in the region. Sorry, not just here in Saudi, but in Bahrain, in Emirat, and in a bit of Kuwait. So I've been involved and been seeing the region as a whole been growing, definitely. We see the diamonds as well, since we are the developers and we are one community, so we do see the diamonds. They're out of reach, or at least no one had to put a value on it yet. So we see it, we know it's there. A lot of people know it's there. It's just no one is buying or is interested in that diamond yet. Understandable. However, so it's a combination of what Jason, Mo, and Layla said. It's not just about. Okay, so actually, let me continue my previous thought. Is in the past 4 years, I've been seeing a lot of waves. So every couple of months, summers, every game jams, and all of that, you see a new wave of people coming. People who are interested in games, all ages, from young kids to adults and up to 40 to 50 years old as well. Participating, very interested. The issue is they don't lose interest in time. They lose hope. So they don't see, they still want to develop games, just like what Layla said, and her students, even before starting professionally, they don't see even the opportunity. So they're not even considering the idea. It's a lot of layers, just like Jason said. It's a lot of layers. If we were to take this to a game logic, games have different servers that have attention focused to different types of levels. So if I joined a game very late in the I don't know, in the day, and my level is very low, they won't automatically put me, at least good games won't put me with the high levels. That way I can level as well. To apply that to what's happening here, we do need education, even though I don't personally think it's 100% necessary at this point, at least in this current time. However, we do need it for people who wants to take this seriously and actually try and major in it. We do need opportunities, jobs, whatever type of job. It's just something to, like I said previously, I need to see that hope. I need to see a reason why I actually need to go and learn and all of that. Personally, right now, everyone I know is mainly focusing on trying to learn game development for a game jam or something like that. They do hope at some point in the future that they would get a job or something like that. But I think you can tell they're not. It's just a hope. Yeah. I don't know how to put this, but it's.
I mean, Mohammad, it's driving me crazy to listen to. Why is there no ambition? Like I want to shake all those developers and push them to dream and achieve big. Not
Mohammad, you know,
show them a salary. They'll come. Don't worry.
No, Mohammad, you know, I believe everybody on this call and even more people listening to us and participants to DGC care about these diamonds and are doing something about it.
Of course.
We have, for example, for the past 5 years, created this platform exactly for that purpose and for international companies, local companies, young developers. And this year, the access for developers is even free for the meeting platform to show your work, to connect with Jason, to connect with Mo, to connect with
if I may say,
with Louis Cataldi from Unreal, with the Unity distribution platform, with so many that are here. So in the end, as Jason is saying, this is an exciting industry. It needs also entrepreneurs. It needs also people that, you know, Jason was mentioning just before that, first of all, for governments or private sector, you want to invest into the gaming industry, you have to invest in 100 companies, but maybe get 10 that will be a success. But you have to know this from the start. And on the entrepreneurial side and the young developers also and indie developers, you also have to know that you are not only an artist and a developer, but you are also an entrepreneur and a businessman and a marketing manager and so many other layers. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly, Jason, but you need a mix of both. But it's an exciting time, an exciting industry. And as Mo was saying also, the signs are very positive, much more positive. The light in the cave is actually, no, really, I do agree with you on that. Because I have been through this journey as well. And Thomas, you've also seen interest on the consumer side, on the trend side from your work at Esquire. So it's all positive in a way, but we do need to also fill these essential gaps that are related to education, more government initiatives, more private sector investors educating them on what is the gaming industry, and more success stories that are coming out. And the most important thing, never to lose hope or passion for what we are doing, because this is what will get us there, right?
Yeah, I agree. I guess I've got kind of one question which I'll throw out to kind of everyone. We're talking about kind of the AAA publishers kind of opening up offices in the region with Riot. We're talking about how Blizzard, may not be coming here because of the lack of talent. I guess the question is this an opportunity that will in a couple of years have dissipated? If we wait too long, will the big guys come in and completely steamroll it and kind of take control of the region from an international standpoint, leaving the little guys, your independents, your indie studios, really no market share?
On that note also, I mean, just to show the evolution, Riot opened here, Ubisoft opened previously as a developer, Tencent opened here, Gameloft is here as well. Most of the big publishers now have Mena departments, which they didn't even have before. But I'm sure you guys can tell us more about it.
If I may, so actually it's not a bad thing if the big guys came here and led the small guys. Putting the games industry aside, different industries been doing that as well. So they've been getting big companies, big names to operate here, and they've been involving the local workers in general, and they've been growing until they actually prove themselves to actually lead that company or something like that. So we can still do that for games as well. It's not I don't see it as I don't see it in a negative way, but it's actually, it could be a positive. Just having different game studios opening here would have not only an opportunity to for game devs to actually participate and have jobs and stuff like that, but they can actually learn and grow, and at some point maybe open their own studios, or they can lead the studio itself.
May I on this one? Sorry, I hear where you're coming from, Mohammad, but this is something exactly because coming from the global AAA publishers in the last nearly 2 decades, for Mena, Mena, from my perspective as a vision as well, Mena should not become a market. You know, they're very different. I don't want someone to come and it's a market opportunity for us. We treat it as a market. It's for us in Mena to make the difference. And you know it better than myself, Mohammad. You did so many years there as well, especially. Yes, it's great if the Riots, the Blizzards, the Ubisofts, yes, they come to the market, but they're coming to the market as a global publisher who sees market opportunity for growth. It's on the other side for us now, and you did this since many years as well, Layla the same, we get together and said, okay, these are opportunities coming, but we have to create our own market. This is the opportunity. What I don't want is that now we just become like a supermarket that people come in. One day when we learned enough from, or saw enough, and they gave enough opportunities to the systems, then we become a part of this system. No, this is not how gaming works. This is, I believe, why China, why Korea, all of them became powerhouse in gaming, because they adapted gaming, made it themselves gaming. You know, they created their own industry, their own atmosphere based on the gaming terms and norms. We all have the same, don't get me wrong. And now it's an opportunity more than ever for me, when all parties come together over the next few years, that we can do the same for Mena. Great, let them all come. And we want everyone to come. We want 50 Sandsoft happening all over Mena. But important is that we will not give this away. We have a very clear vision that we want to create for the Mena region, for the players, for the talent, an ecosystem and games which are Mena, like South Korea has. And just to add there, when we bring now also global talent to companies like Sandsoft Games and all other companies who are hopefully coming as well and building now, it doesn't mean that we get now, hey, right away, within a year, we're there. No, and this is something I talk with a lot of talents, because the perception is, hey, I want to work for Riot. I heard it many times in interviews. I want to work for Blizzard candidates. I told them what we can offer now with global talent coming as well, merging, is we shortcut time. Nothing else. It doesn't mean suddenly everything is working tomorrow. No, we can shortcut 5 years, maybe 10 years to maybe 5 years, based on experience we can bring and cares we can bring. But it's still up to us in the region to make the difference and build an ecosystem with governments, with initiatives in cities like NEOM, with partners, all of you, Mohammad as well, and Layla, that we come together and drive this. I know it's a long way, and you've been there for many, many years for sure. But more than ever, now is the opportunity to make a change. Instead of putting the torch away, let's use this one torch to light another torch, and light another torch, light another torch. And this is something we should focus on right now.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. Oh, sorry, Layla, did you want to go? Go.
Understand what Mo is saying. However, our main problem is we got skills, but we don't have the specific skills to do games. We have artists, great artists. We have animators, great animators, programmers, but they are not used to creating games. If we had some coming in, it helps us shape these talents. For example, I'm trying to find a place for my students to train. They have a co-op for 6 months in order to graduate. I'm contacting local developers. We have Semaphore, we have a UMix studio, etc. We're trying to get the right student in the right position so they can enhance the skills. So if we get more of these coming, it will help us enhance them. So this is why I'm leaning toward Mohammed's point of view. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's success needs to come from the ground up, and the challenge with the foreign studios coming to the region, often these are more the sales and marketing side, and or kind of like the back office server operation side. These are difficult jobs. They're high paying jobs. It's wonderful to have a Fortnite server in Bahrain. It's wonderful to have Riot set up in Dubai. I think that's part of the overall ecosystem, and it's valuable to have them there. But that is not the path to game creation. That is not the path to local IP and value creation. And so there are some gaps and some hard steps that are required to kind of intervene and connect those dots to enable the local success to occur. And I think Mo nailed it in that we do need to be careful not to confuse the consumer market versus the actual businesses from the region and the revenues they produce. And just as an example, and I'm not going to get the numbers exactly right, but if I'm not mistaken, maybe Mo knows the number, the MENA region total consumer market is about 3 billion, give or take. Is that about right? Yeah, right. It's about 3 billion, give or take, in terms of the MENA region consumer sales. 3 billion. Now you look at Finland. Finland is a country of 5 million people. They have a couple of hundred studios. They have some very successful studios. That's where Angry Bird comes from and Supercell, etc. The business income of those studios is $3 billion of one tiny 5 million person country. So in terms of what we're trying to achieve, where we want the government to intervene, where we want the industry, investors, student, all of this to come together, are we only interested in enabling foreign companies to generate their own $3 billion of sales? Or are we trying to create a sustainable ecosystem of amazing talent that within the region are producing $3 billion worth of revenue that they're collecting from the rest of the world and bringing it into the MENA region? MENA is not Finland. It's apples and oranges, but just it sort of puts things in a different perspective. And while it's valuable to say that the region is a $3 billion region, and you have big companies like Epic and Riot in the region operating, that's part of the ecosystem, and it's wonderful that they're there. But really, the focus has to be on the talent, that flow of education, connecting with investors, and government sort of stepping in where the gaps exist to close those gaps and sort of shorten the cycle. So a bit like Mohammad, it's so we can kind of get the server, up to speed, so that we're, MENA entrepreneurs and developers are joining the game on a more level playing field than they're not way behind.
So, Thomas, I believe we need to wrap up. This is such an exciting conversation, and I wish we could. It's going to be picked up in the other sessions as well. We have a lot of talks with developers. I'm sure you guys will also be connecting on the meeting platform, and you will be also, continuing this discussion with other participants. And I believe this also will help. Certainly, there is a great opportunity in our region. Is it an existing reality? Well, it is, but it can be even much more bigger, because we have a young population. We have a big markets. We have a tech-savvy population as well. We have great talents like Mohammad and Layla. We have initiatives like NEOM. We have now also Mo, who's back in the region with Sandsoft. We have great experts like Jason, for example, who have helped governments and ecosystems and funds to develop their own strategies. So, and we have, of course, the whole ecosystem, and we're seeing it. So I believe we are in the opportunity and the great potential and going in the right direction because of all of us discussing these things, putting each one of us from his own. So if you'd like to wrap up this session, thank you guys from my end. I'm looking forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, so you can go back to Minecraft now.
Perfect.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
And I know we're talking to a few of you in different sessions as well, but thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank
Talk
you.
to you later. Bye-bye.
And Mo, you can
Bye-bye.
make any announcement anytime from DGC. You can do it now.
The next one I will 100% do.
See you later.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Jason,
Bye-bye.
for staying up late. See you soon, Mo. And,
Yeah. 1 a.m. with all, and I don't drink coffee, so I'm like, you know.
Thank you, Mohammad.
Full of
Thank you, Layla.
you,
Please do
everyone.
advise all the developers to register. It's free. They can benefit from this. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank
Great
you.
pleasure to
you.
meet you all. Thank you.
Ciao.